Hello, we are doing the third and final episode on Magicka. So, last we left off, we just had gone through part of Chapter 2, and now we're going to do so again. Now, I'm sorry if the sound feels different, or if the music feels different, or any of that. I actually have muted the sound this time because I found it's been very distracting when working last time. So, remember all those great sound effects, and we're going to focus on the design and the commentary. Now, the reason I apologize is because I'm recording on a different computer, so there's going to be different sound, there's going to be different stuff, whole different me. All right, so we are foreshadowed by a big monster. Now we've seen one of those before, but last time that was the boss of an entire level, and we might have had a really difficult fight with it, surrounded by soldiers. Now it's an optional encounter, I believe. So we foreshadow it, and we see that it's big, it's dangerous, it's eating something, it's ripping blood out. And however, we ran across a moose in the first opening section, though I don't think I stopped and checked it, that said basically discovering moose is a side quest. Is moose plural? Meese? Anyway, Canadian viewers, let me know. And so we are tempted by the moose to go discover it for that side quest, because people like completion. We're tempted by the monster, the challenge, and also its foreshadowing. So you take a great quest piece and you take a great monster, put them together to show the monster is dangerous, to emphasize that with the blood spurts if you somehow forget, and also an incentive. That's great, great, great use of your assets. Instead of having, basically the moose is serving both as a demonstration and interaction with the monster, and as an incentive to go check it out. And that's great. Just great. Also notice how the troll's like in shadow under the light, emphasizes that. This is just really well done. Alright, let's talk to this guy. By Thor's hammer, is that my wife? Oh wait, no, it's just a dead moose. Those trolls are really scary. They're not usually aggressive though. Alright, interesting. So he's hinting, saying they're not usually aggressive, that we could probably bypass this if we so choose. Let's see if that's true. Yep, looks like it's absolutely true. Yeah, definitely. But we're not going to. We're going to go kill it because I want to show you how this works. But also, by the way, a fun fact about this guy is that a lot of people feel like he's insulting his wife. It's a joke about the wife, which certainly fits the irreverent tone that the wife is a troll. Or then it's a moose. But apparently, according to the developers, it was meant to just be a very sweet thing. It's like, oh no, is my wife getting hurt by a troll? And the answer is no, no, she's not. So we're going to run over here, and I'll just take this guy out, because this is our first big solo encounter with a monster. And see, we can walk right up next to him, where it's totally fine, and we're going to attack him. Now, we are in some danger. So, the way you tend to beat solo monsters is that they're very slow, and you can see that he stops as he winds up to kick. Now, they do quite a bit of damage, but if I'm standing even still right here, this guy's not that dangerous, especially with armor. Alright, let's take this off, because I guarantee this game gets very, very difficult and very lethal. Now, if I don't have armor, you can take some serious damage. But if I'm just trying to heal by pressing heal button, on myself repeatedly, you can see again, I'm not really under much threat. Now, people playing this guy might feel like this guy's really, really dangerous, but the developers need to not only make things safe normally and make people feel like that they have room to experiment. They don't need to spam the most perfect, most dangerous spell every single moment to succeed. They also need to factor in that players will be often setting themselves on fire, blowing themselves up, electrocuting themselves. So the difficulty curve in the early levels is very, very low. All right, now we're just going to take this guy out. And we use my spell. I love that thing. Another thing you can do with these guys is set them on water, frost them, and then use a frost beam to keep them frozen while you're electrifying them. That works very well. You see, if you don't, they'll slowly unfreeze unless you keep applying cold to them. So by combining cold and lightning, you can lock them. And you would think, hey, doesn't that break the entire game? And the answer is really no. I'll try to show you on the goblins. Now, a lot of stuff does break the game in any individual point, but very few things are useful the entire game. So, let's see if I discover that. Does that break this next encounter? Now, you notice something interesting right away. We've got a bridge over a river. Now, unfortunately, this section is a little not well suited. Now, I like right away we've got this Robin Hood guy. It's sort of a band of merry men ambushing us on a bridge. Nice little fantasy reference. And jokes like that add variety to encounters. Now, I'm going to try to soak everybody. And I'm going to try to freeze everybody. Well, the water knocked them back really far. All right, now I'll combine that with lightning, and that doesn't work. Let's try. Okay, now I need to freeze them again. but that just lags them because they're not wet. But you see the water that I try to use to AoE, hey, I'll hit everybody with water, it knocks them back too far. It's not a very effective way to simultaneously lock everybody. Now I can do that really cool trick I talked about, maybe. Let's take a look at that. Okay, I'm going to put water armor on myself so I can't get wet. And I'm going to use the, how does it work? The rain Magicka. And now hopefully I'm going to be able to freeze everyone with frost lightning. Does this work? It doesn't really, for not very clear reasons. So I'm freezing some of them, I'm lagging some of them, but I'm not killing them very quickly, that's for sure. And so basically that's a great combo to freeze lock one enemy, but it's not very good against lots of enemies. So, for lots of different goblins, also making them wet means that I can't use fire on them as effectively, and fire is their weakness and makes them panic. Alright, so I'm just going to do some stuff, kill some dudes, and they're dead. It feels so rewarding. I'm not faking my laughter. It feels so rewarding to just, be messing around with these guys, having a long, lengthy encounter, killing some guys, taking some damage, healing up, playing it safe, because it takes a while to kill them. It's still challenging to actually kill them, to bypass things if you don't know what you're doing. You're just not under much danger of dying. So it still is an interesting puzzle, but it's more like a thing in Portal, where you're spending a long time trying to figure something out, and you're trying different things, you're experimenting with different things. But you're not actually under danger. That's where these early things are set up, to give you room and confidence to experiment. Remember, their major goal is making you feel confident about experimenting. Also notice the after effects. They try to make sure that it makes clear that, look, your frost interacted with this ground. That might make you think, if you didn't already know, your frost can interact with water. Things like that remind you that you can be persistent. Unfortunately, fire doesn't really set trees on fire, does it? Or does it? Hey, look, fire. It's not setting the whole forest on fire, but it's definitely setting the grass on fire. Does it do it with earth? Yeah, it looks like... So they're trying to create a sense of impact. Look what the stone does. It has a sense of impact. It tries to remind you that your stuff can actually interact with the world in a more believable way. Now, I'm going to show you a bit of an unfortunate thing after I deal with these guys. Both a fortunate and an unfortunate one. One part of it's good, but the other part of it is imperfect. All right, just casting some spells, beam spells. All right. So, I'm going to take the armor off so I can move around more easily. Now, we've already seen, because we were lured into it, that we can turn water areas to frost. In fact, we had to learn that to bypass an area. But we were also potentially lured into discovering secrets. Now, we want to reward experimentation and exploration. Exploration of the game mechanics is basically the same mental process of exploring the game world. It's saying, hey, what about that? Can I go over there? Or, would this work? Maybe I should try this type of thing. It needs to both make you feel kind of safe and also rewarded. If they do a lot of dead ends in a section of the game, like, hey, could I go over there? And the answer is no. If you try to open a lot of doors and they're locked, which unfortunately they do in this game, they try to make it into a joke that everything's locked because it's a role-playing game. But that creates a sense that it's not worth exploring. It's not worth experimenting. The game is linear. So they need a linear game because of their developmental resources, but they also want to reward all of the dead ends. They don't want to have dead ends. They want everything to have something interesting. So here's one of the mistakes. Going down here, but first doesn't kill me. The fact that the goblins are running through the water was supposed to indicate that it can't kill me. But that's not great because, wizards can't swim. Maybe goblins can swim. But over here is not a dead end. Over here, you can see that this is actually rewarded. Now, cleverly, they put rocks there rather than having it just be impassable. And so they say, hey, look, you could go there if the rocks weren't there. Unfortunately, they are. Now, this is a lie, because at the bottom of the screen, you saw that there was a perfectly open section of water, and I couldn't go there. That's a mistake. They should have blocked that off too, I believe, and had their own little narrow waterfall down there. It might have looked repetitive, but it's better than being inconsistent. However, over here, they're very consistent, and they show us something else. What's this? Look at all these little animals jumping across, these 2D animals. That is a reference to, yep, we have the Master Sword. Sword of the Masters. Let's take a look at it. Known by some as the Bane of Evil, an ancient sword which contains arcane power. Shoots arcane when wielder is at full health. I actually discovered this when watching a Let's Play by the devs of this game. They found it. They went and got it because they wanted it, and I didn't know about it. So yeah, now you can shoot big magical bursts when at full health. It's not that useful, but it feels fun, and it's a great reference to Legend of Zelda, which, as you've seen my own video on it, has their sword that works on like that too. All right. All right, we're gonna freeze the thing, move along down, move it on down, and we are gonna move through the rest of the level. The boss of this level is both wonderful and terrible. It's everything that a boss should be that's relatively safe, but it is also one of the most frustrating bosses and least rewarding. So I'll be interested in talking about that later because I both love it and despise it. It's not like it has some good parts and some bad parts really. It's more like it has all the good parts of a boss needs as well as all the bad parts, or at least a lot of them, simultaneously somehow. It's very interesting. All right, so I'm just going to use this thing I've been doing where I whoops, I accidentally got out of the center. That could easily kill me. Got to be very careful with that. All right. So what I'm doing right now is setting mines, in that lightning is explosive, arcane is explosive, and I use shields to shape it. So when you shape a shield and a beam, which is like that, you get a orb for some reason. So it looks like this. Boom. And basically what that translates into is mines. Indiana Jones reference. All right, so we're just going to kill all these guys. Now this is like a mini boss section. And so you can see down here we're getting a little hint, but there's no way anyone's reading that because they're focused on the rest of this. Is that you can see which elements an enemy spellcaster has conjured. Use this to your advantage. No one is going to be paying much attention to that, really. They might figure that out at some point, but yeah. Maybe when all the other guys are dead, because he takes takes longer to kill. All right, so we're just going to set those mines. Blow up all the goblins. Does a lot of damage, so it's very, very effective for killing these guys. All right, so I'm not playing that fight honestly, obviously, but it's really basically the same thing. It's just you're not under a lot of damage. Nullify. This gets rid of magical stuff, which can be useful, but mostly just makes players wonder, why would I want this? It's sort of like Rain. It's a useless but kind of interesting additional ability that has some very high-level uses, but does not see much play right now. It can be used to get rid of the shaman's shields, though, which is nice here, but not very good for killing out the rest of these guys. So they're trying to give you some stuff that seems, hey, that's kind of interesting, but doesn't distract you from the elements too much. Like if they give you like something like Thunderbolt really early, and they do give you things like Meteor Swarm, but that's basically kind of a suicide-y effect. It's very hard to survive casting that. They don't give you generally useful stuff at this section of the game that you can use, like Magicka that you can use everywhere, like stuff like Summon Elemental or Summon Undead, where you can just summon an entire army to fight for you and basically just do that over and over again and win the game in most sections. They don't give you that here. What they give you is elements, stuff that does something kind of cool, but probably not broadly useful in a large number of situations, which is great because they say, hey, look, I'm going to learn how to do this thing, and then they don't have it, but they don't corrupt their core gameplay of the rest of things. All right, I'm going to come in here. A little bit of a secret. It's kind of an obvious secret, but it still counts as a secret. Still counts. All right, let's just kill you. And is that a refrigerator? Yes, it is. So again, we walk into this hole, and this one actually lets us go into it. And there's a guy in the refrigerator. That's a trope. Somehow I died. The refrigerator apparently killed me. Oh, there's an infinite death pit. That's just a glitch in the game that I walked into. That's kind of awkward, but luckily we died right at a checkpoint. All right, well, we don't need that staff, and I don't care. The only problem is you lose your equipment when you die. So oh, no, never mind. It used to lose your equipment when you die. Maybe it's only when you're resurrected, but not if you go back to a checkpoint. Or maybe they just made the game more forgiving. Because it used to be that basically if you wanted to have items, you could, if I'm remembering correctly, it certainly felt like you could never die. Like you could just never felt like dying was an option. Like if I wanted to keep the Master Sword, I got to get through and never ever die. Let's see how good it is. Oof, it's actually not bad against these goblins. The only thing is that it takes out only one of them at a time. It's probably limited useful against trolls. and also it doesn't kill them super fast. So that's great. Basically, it is rewarding you for going to discover this spell, but because it's limited to only full health, it's not going to work all the time. And also, it's not super great at dealing with crowds of people. In fact, it's really bad at that. And that's one thing they do very carefully with the original spells, is that they try to make sure that they're not very good at the ones that are really good at dealing with one person are not really good at dealing with lots of people, and vice versa. So, and when they throw a group of people at you, it creates a sense of shifting priorities, shifting spells, and it feels good. So it's basically, you can almost think of it as a very sophisticated version of Pokemon's elemental weaknesses. That some spells are good against some enemies, and some spells are bad against some enemies. Not necessarily due to the elemental weaknesses. Sometimes they do have some things that are immune to lightning. So, my favorite lightning explodey spell doesn't work very well on them, like that. On the other hand, they shift things up by just having styles of enemies early on. Because they don't want to randomly make you feel like, why is my thing not working before you're even ready with elemental synergies and stuff. So, now I'm surrounded by goblins. That happens. Alright, so again, we just deal with that. So again, the thing is, I'm using the same spells over and over again right now, because I know it's going to work very well on these guys. I don't know if these are the very best optimal spells for speedrunny style stuff in the game, but I like them, and I certainly know I'm under no danger and that they work. But Magicka needs to make sure that they don't use the same spell throughout the entire game. So it tries to vary up its enemies, its immunities, its styles of enemies, and that keeps your variety going the same way that Pokemon tries to. Alright, we're doing the big dramatic walk. This was once the lair of Jormungandr, but now it seems he is no more. Nope, he's more. He is definitely more. The head is his weak spot. Good luck! So, basically, the curiosity of why he keeps saying luck in question marks is something that definitely keeps people interested about why he's saying that. And also the fact that we can't trust Vlad is very obvious. So, this is what makes his boss good. First of all, you're not under constant danger. Because of his attack pattern, it looks like he goes in and he attacks you, and then he goes out. That's what it looks like he's doing. Now, so if I take some damage here, let's see, come on. Bam! Oof, see, knocks me down. I have time to heal. So I'm not under a lot of threat. I can be running around, I can be freaking out. I can be doing all this stuff, and it's like, And I'm not under a lot of danger. I'll get knocked down, it'll feel really powerful, but I won't be under a lot of danger. The other good thing is that it makes you think about how to attack him. You don't just spam damage at him. You have to look for an opening. And so, hey, look, I hit him in the head. And so that's really great. Now, here's why it's bad. It's very unsatisfying to constantly be waiting for this head. Like, watch, come on. And I miss. And now I'm hit. And now I heal. And now I wait. And I hit him with my thing. Not enough. I didn't charge up enough. And now I'm taking damage. And I'm poisoned. And I have to heal up again. Now he throws more poison at me, and so on. And now, all right, I'm going to just go up and attack you. Nope, can't. Your head's the weak spot. Oh, come on. And so it's actually very frustrating. And I just killed myself. That was actually intentional, because I was trying to demonstrate that you can hit things from below and try to... people try to do that, to right the head while he's up because they're impatient. It just takes forever to kill him. Now, it might not look like it, because it seems like he's taken so much damage already. But that's because I very much know what I'm doing. This fight takes a long time, and a lot longer than any other fight. Okay, so yeah, you do drop the Master Sword when you die, and if I had killed him at that point, I would have lost the Master Sword permanently, because I would go to my victory screen. So, that's the good part of the boss. You're not under a huge amount of pressure, but he feels powerful. The knockdown is a great touch. It makes him feel impactful and powerful without making him feel super threatening. He can kill me, though. Though, in fact, I killed myself, really, with that boulder. Which players are very often likely to do, and to kill their allies and stuff. He will do smart things, like jump out from under there. And you can see that almost kills me from full health. But then also knocks me really far away from him to give me a breathing room when he waits. So the pattern is he hits the newbie who doesn't know any better, and then gives them time to heal. And that makes it feel like he's certainly very safe, and players can have a long time trying to beat him. Now there's things you can do, like you can set him on fire, and then he'll be burning underground, and that's very fun. But the really cool thing you can do, that I only discovered recently while rehearsing runs for this to get a better idea of the levels, which I always do before I do these videos, is this. So the thing is, he'll start smashing his head into these walls. Now, I knew you could do this with shields, but the cool thing about this is that unlike shields, you can only really have one at a time out. You can just drop these all over the entire thing. Now this is going to be a bit harder because he's probably going to come up right in the middle of it. Oh, I blew myself up. All right, let's see if it gets me the Master Sword back. So I'm going to just, basically what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to throw a lot of different tactics at him and take him out. So first thing I'm doing is I'm just going to drop, I'm interested in seeing if I can drop mines and if he'll run into mines. So that's why I was doing that there. So let's see if I can just drop a bunch of mines and see what that does. Does not seem to be working very well. Oh, that worked pretty well. And now he's on fire. The only problem is that it doesn't hit. It doesn't actually hit him very effectively. And if I stand on a mine, obviously that's going to be a problem. Let's see if this works. Does he run to that? No. All right. So the mines are kind of cool, but definitely I just want to mostly create walls. Oh, he hit himself into mines. That was cute. So I'm mostly just trying to create walls around here, and then hopefully that he's going to start running into them. And the cool thing about that is I can do that while he's down as well. Look at that. Hee hee hee. So while he's underground, normally you have to wait to attack him, and that's great because it makes you think, it's like the original Castlevania fight against Dracula that I talked about, in which you spend a lot, when you're waiting for the boss to appear, and you have to be paying attention to where he's going to appear, and he can hurt you before he appears, you spend a lot of time being paranoid. The only problem, and looking for him. Now this one's a lot easier because it gives you a huge warning sign about when he's going to be and so on. But overall, this is really effective. It makes players think about the boss and creates a sense of, how do I attack him? Oh, where is he going to be? Where is he going to be? All right, now let's just take him out. Oh, see, I hate that. He takes some damage. He goes down again. So he's erupted out of the ground. And he's going to go down again because he doesn't like taking damage. So basically, I've sort of locked him that I can't really lose this fight. And this is where the fight gets annoying. Once you figure out something as simple as this, where I'm just dropping rocks everywhere, I'm gonna put some volcanoes out there actually. All right, now he just burst out from under them. It gets really boring and it gets repetitive and it takes a long time because he's just got tons of hit points. Once players demonstrate that they know enough to beat him, he's got about there's like an extra 25% to 30, more like 35% of his health bar. Players experiment for a while, they take some damage, they die, and then what sucks is that if they accidentally kill themselves, which is so likely in Magicka, not in other games, but in Magicka, very likely, you accidentally try to cast a shield on yourself, like a rock shield, and you forget the shield element, and you drop a giant boulder on your head. I did. I was simulating that, though I was trying to drop the boulder, stand under his head and then drop the boulder on top of him, theoretically. But I wanted to show that you can die so easily even while experimenting. And often people will try to experiment with that fight to find a better way to kill him because the way they do have takes so long. There's a lot of waiting involved. You wait for him to show up. You wait for his head to go down. It doesn't make you feel proactive. It makes you feel reactive. Oh, this is great. What? Oh, I'm totally not a vampire. All right. Well, that is Magicka. So that was a very interesting boss fight. And hopefully you can see why it's both so good. That doesn't put players under much pressure, but it makes them feel threatened. It feels different than other fights. It asks players to do different things, like running around and looking at the ground. It asks players to pay attention to the boss. It asks players to look for timing windows and a vulnerability and weakness. It makes them really pay attention and think about things. And it asks them to play in a slightly different way than they're used to, but still get to use their big targeting, single damage targeting stuff that you've already been introducing them to via the trolls and things like that. So overall, it's a very engaging boss, but it takes too long and there's too much waiting involved. So that was Magicka. I hope you enjoyed looking through its opening level or two, and I hope you check it out yourself if you haven't already. This game is absolutely phenomenal. It's so much fun. I have not tried Magicka 2 yet. I'm interested to see what they do with that. I've heard, unfortunately, it's disappointing, but I have no idea myself. And when I get time, I'm going to dig into it. It's on my wish list. All right. Well, thanks very much. As always, check out all my content at danfelder.net, including the GM's Guide, the Remaking Magic podcast, the articles, the random posts, the stuff I'm reading, and all that stuff at danfelder.net. You can also follow me at Twitter at designer.danf. And finally, please continue to like and subscribe these videos, and I will see you next time. Bye. Oh, and if you have any suggestions for future games you'd like me to look at, feel free. Now for real this time. Bye.